The Office of the Special Prosecutor, the OSP, has confirmed the freezing of assets valued at more than 100 million Ghana cedis and $100,000, including real estate holdings, fuel stations, and logistics vehicles. The assets are linked to the ongoing prosecution of former Chief Executive of the National Petroleum Authority, Dr Mustapha Abdul-Hamid, and 9 other individuals. In a statement, the OSP said that additional assets remain under active tracing as investigations continue into what it describes as a grand extortion and money laundering scheme. According to the office, the move is in line with its mandate under Act 959 to preserve suspected proceeds of crime pending the final determination of the case by the court. Let's take you through some of the assets listed on the OSP's letter in the NPA saga. And we definitely, if you're following us on our website or especially on Facebook where we are streaming this bulletin, you definitely get to see the specifics or the demands being made by the OSP. But it tells you that this case, which is in court or which the OSP has initiated legal processes on, is actually taking an impact, especially on the likes of Dr Mustapha Abdul-Hamid, who was the immediate past head of the National Petroleum Authority. He's been accused of masterminding some grand extortion and money laundering schemes, for which reason him and about 9 other individuals are being dragged to court to pay for it, or at least defend themselves why they are not to release these assets that have been given to them. Right, so we'll give you updates of it later in our bulletin so you can get to understand what exactly these demands are and some of the assets that the OSP is chasing. The OSP has listed a number of items. It's on our website and on our various social media handles. You get to see the specifics that the OSP says that they include things like filling stations, things like vehicles and landed properties in real estate holdings, etc. They are taking all of it back, especially because of the valuation. If they value it and they know that they are proceeds of crime or proceeds of this investigation, the state is putting its hands on it. So assets in excess of 100 million Ghana cedis and $100,000 have been frozen by the OSP. However, they indicate that other items that they suspect belong to these individuals are being traced, and if they do find them, the freezing order will definitely apply to them as well. Meanwhile, Dr. Abdul-Hamid's legal team is pushing back strongly against the Special Prosecutor's claims. In a statement issued by Hay and Partners, his lawyers described the OSP's announcement as public theatrics, insisting that no asset or businesses belonging to their client have been traced or confiscated. They further argue that even the OSP's amended charge sheet filed on October 17, 2025 lists 5 counts of alleged offenses, but none makes reference to any asset or properties connected to Dr. Abdul-Hamid. In a related development, the High Court Criminal Division is expected to hear on the 13th of November an application filed by Dr. Abdul-Hamid seeking the release of his passport. He argues that the document is needed to enable him travel to Canada for a political engagement. The Republic, however, has opposed the application, and as part of his bail conditions, Dr. Abdul-Hamid was also ordered to surrender his passport and remains on the OSP's stop list. So it means that he cannot travel, and that was why he was asked to submit his passport to the state. So now that he says he has a program in Canada and wants to travel, he will need his passport to do so. And on the back of that, he has gone to court asking the court to order the OSP and the state, for that matter, to release his passport to him. So if that passport is not ready or is not released to him, it means that he will not be able to travel or go out of the country. And his lawyer, Joseph Diok, who is also a former Deputy Attorney General, has been speaking to 3FM and sharing his thoughts on what all of this means, especially for them.
You've read our response to the OSP's release. If you ask me, I'll tell you that what the OSP did is absolutely needless and uncalled for. You see, I have said it time and again, and I have referred lawyers, people are deliberately staying away from that provision. And let me repeat it. Go and check Rule 42 FII of LI 2423 of 2020. What the prosecution is doing is completely unacceptable. Inciting public sentiments against accused persons who are not convicts is completely unethical and unacceptable and must not be entertained a minute. None of the persons is a convict, and yet you run commentary as if they are convicts. You are talking about confiscation when you have not even convicted the persons and you have not linked whatever you are talking about to process of crime. Not even that is the case. But the continuous deliberate attempt on the part of the OSP to malign and link Dr. Mustapha Abdul-Hamid to the prosecutions they are engaging in. And the perspective is clear. Please go and take the charge sheet and the facts. The properties in question that he's talking about, none of the properties in that 100 million claim he's making, none is linked to Dr. Mustapha Hamid. None, not one. The properties he claimed, he traced it to some of the accused persons and some companies that have no relationship with Mustapha. And yet, anytime he's putting out information, he wants the public to believe that those properties worth 100 million Ghana cedis that he has traced are properties of Dr. Mustapha Abdul-Hamid, which claim is totally false by the facts available to him and the charges that he himself has presented against the accused in court. So why, with the greatest respect and humility, my brother, with the greatest respect and humility, what is the reason for the latest statement that was issued? Didn't he say that he was responding to a statement by Mustapha? No. You see, you are getting it wrong, and I have to point it out to you.
Right.
If there are 10 accused persons, and then one accused person out of the 10 makes a statement and you are responding to it, and you talk about seizure of property worth 100 million, what are you insinuating? Does anybody need to know? Need to ask you any further questions to know that you are trying to tell the public that the person's property that you have traced is 100 million?
Right, so that's the voice of the former Deputy Attorney General and the lawyer for Dr. Mustapha Abdul-Hamid, Joseph Dindiok Pemka, and he clearly insists that his client and the assets that the OSP says he has frozen do not belong to his client. Now, let's really try and get some legal understanding of what goes into freezing of assets, etc. And at what point can the court decide that based on the seriousness or the public interest in the case, we want to, take a further step of freezing assets belonging to a suspect? Joining us on the line now is a private legal practitioner, Lawrence Boampong Reku, who is he's joined us on phone for a quick chat. Mr. Reku, good evening. Thank you for joining us on 3FM.
Good evening, Martin, and thanks for having me. Good evening to your cherished listeners and viewers.
Right. What would be the key issues that would inform either the prosecution or the judge to say that based on A, B, and C, we want to freeze assets? What really is the asset freezing regime, and when does it kick in during a trial?
Okay, so when you talk about seizure, the OSP can seize a property during investigation or during trial. And the OSP can also freeze a property before, that is during the investigation or during trial. Now, what grounds would the OSP consider before a property is seized or frozen? Now, if the OSP, that is the prosecutor, is of the view that that property is tainted with corruption or corruption-related offenses, then before trial, even in the investigation, the OSP can go ahead and seize that tainted property. And after that procedure, under the OSP Act, okay, it stipulates that if the OSP seizes a property during investigation, he has within 7 days to come before the court for the court to give a confirmation of that seizure of that tainted property. So all the properties that the OSP will seize during investigation, within that period, he has to bring an application to court. For the court, and when you bring the application before the court, the burden is on the OSP to convince the judge that the properties that the OSP has seized, okay, the property or properties that the OSP have seized, they are one which are related to corruption or corruption-related matters. And if the judge is convinced that the property is related to corruption, then the judge will go ahead and make an order for confirmation of that seized property or that property that has been frozen by the OSP. There will be a confirmation of that property. So that is how the OSP can go about it, and then finally it ends up in court. Then the court will make that confirmation order, whether for seizure or a freezing order.
Right. That's quite interesting. So, in other words, if, for instance, an individual is suspected to have committed a crime and is on trial, the prosecutor, in this case the OSP, looks for assets that the person is believed to own and then must be able to prove in court that these items that we are asking the court to freeze or give us an order to confiscate are proceeds of the suspected crime that this suspect is believed to have committed. That is it.
Yes, but the use of the word confiscate does not arise in this matter.
Okay.
Confiscation of the property comes only after trial.
After trial, okay.
Where the person is convicted of that corruption charges. Okay. You get it?
Right, I do.
Then the court, on an application by the prosecutor, so it can be the Attorney General, it can be the OSP, because it's the same procedure, can now bring an application that the properties which were seized, okay, during the trial, or the properties which were frozen during the trial by the court, after conviction, should be confiscated.
Okay.
You get it? So confiscation only comes in after trial, where that accused person has been convicted.
Right.
And it has been established in the trial that the property seized, okay, were related to the charges. Those corruption charges, they were related. Then the court will make an order for confiscation.
Okay. So for freezing and seizures, it is prior to or during or prior to the trial. However, there must be proof by the one prosecuting that these items are likely to have been proceeds of the person's issue that is challenging in court.
Exactly the point, Martin.
Okay. But what if the person had property before the suspicion of a crime? For instance, the individual has 2 houses, right? Then when he is in court or he's been charged or accused of something, then these houses that he had, even probably before appointment, could the state extend their arm onto those ones as well during or before the trial? Or they usually will look at things he suspectedly acquired during his tenure after he was appointed?
That is a very important question, Mr. Martin. Now, Martin, if the OSP even during the investigation or any prosecutor, being the Attorney General or whoever who is prosecuting the case, okay, sees any property during or before the trial. And it is not established. Because don't forget, a lot of investigation goes into this. Before the OSP or the Attorney General will seize any property, they must do their own investigation to first and foremost ascertain that that property, one, it is tainted and related to those charges against that person, or the charges they intend to charge the person after their investigation. So where the OSP or the Attorney General is not able to establish that those properties, for instance, the example you gave, if there's evidence that the accused person had those properties even before coming into public office, and the property is not related to any corruption, of course, the court will go ahead and make an order that those properties should be released to the accused person. However, where it is established beyond doubt that the property is related to the corruption, then after conviction, the confiscation will take place.
Wow. Thank you for taking us through Law Class Law 101. We are grateful that you made time to speak to us, sir.
My pleasure, Martin.
Right, and clearly this is a conversation that many of you have expressed interest in, and we can see your comments also coming in on our Facebook stream, so do let them come in. We are happy to share it with the rest of the world. And you heard the private legal practitioner Lawrence Boampong Reku, who has been helping us understand what freezing of assets during a trial mean, and at what point can the state or the prosecutor, in this instance it is the special prosecutor, it could also be the attorney general, whoever is prosecuting a case, at what point can they trigger the asset freezing order? And that's the explanation he has given us, and I'm sure that you've all picked a thing or two from what goes on during some of these state prosecutions or trials at the court. It's interesting how all of this is playing out, and we'll see in the coming days whether what Mustapha Abdul-Hamid, Doctor, is seeking the court to do to at least release his passport for him to travel. Would the court agree to that? And or will that mean that he would have to forfeit that trip because he is on the stop list that has been placed at our ports of exit and entry by the OSP? We are always happy to hear your thoughts on this. This is still Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Stay with us. When we return, we would update you on what's happening to the final date of when Ghana's longest-serving former First Lady, Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, will be laid to rest, and what has the state been saying regarding providing a state funeral. We'll update you on all of that and more, and give you business as well as sports. This is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7.
Ghana. It's a new year and Bills Microcredit is here to support your dreams. If you're not working but want to start a business, don't let money stop you. With just your Ghana card, you can get a loan to turn your ideas into reality. Already running a business? Need more capital? Or are you a salary worker looking for extra funds? Bills offers fast and easy loans with no collateral, no deposit, and no SUSI savings required. Wherever you are, whatever you need, Bills makes it happen. Call Bills Microcredit today. Call 0596-920-833 or 0302-200-390 and get started. Bills is licensed and regulated by the Bank of Ghana. Bills, financing your needs. Terms and conditions apply.
There's still 3FM 92.7. You're listening to Hot Edition, and we are going on to some other stories that we have for you this evening. And the